My friends, welcome, welcome, welcome. Weedy Weekend number 101. What an accomplishment. I really feel good about this, proud about this. It's not often I have pride in something because I'm not creating much anymore. I used to do so much photography and I'd be proud of what I'd create that it's nice. I think you guys like this show. I like bringing that to you. So, pitter patter, let's get at her. Let's get to the news and let's hope we have some good stuff today. One thing I like to do in my news shows is make sure that we have some positivity and always look for a positive spin. Today's news is so ugly and so awful. All they ever do is go for sensationalism, and they seem to think bad is sensational. I think good is sensational, but that's me. Let's move on to the first story. I'm going to try in this next 100 or so, while we work up to Canadian full decriminalization, legalization, whatever you want to call it. I want to always start with a story that is about our movement forward, so that some of you that are trying to get something going could maybe piggyback off of it or help us in our struggles. There is a fair amount of public input to this next year. I have already said how my province, Alberta, has already created a Secretariat of Cannabis or some kind of title, and they've already put out a survey trying to find out what Albertans want. This is the next step. CBC News, cbc.ca, reports that Cannabis Lounge Edmonton is preparing for the possibility of cannabis lounges and dispensaries in their bylaw changes. Let me read this to you. The city of Edmonton is looking at zoning bylaw changes that could pave the way for the establishment of cannabis lounges if they are allowed after marijuana is legalized in July 2018. This new classification is intended to differentiate this use from other eating and drinking uses already established in zoning bylaw 12800, said a city administration official. Other jurisdictions, such as Denver, have found it necessary to provide places for tourists to consume cannabis. Cannabis lounges would provide a land use classification to accommodate this activity. I find it funny how they're treating the need, how they're describing the need, that they found that they needed these lounges for tourists. Not just tourists. Some tourists from out of the country, well, I guess they'll come here to smoke it because it'll be legal. But people at home, they've had 80 years of hiding in the basement smoking it and blowing through smoke buddies and charcoal to try and cover the smell. We're tired of hiding in the closet. We want these lounges too. It's interesting. But if passed, the bylaw change won't mean they're allowed. It just means that they can be established if the law permits. But Alberta will be ready, it says. The bylaw amendment also includes a new use called cannabis retail sales. That's it there. We're already preparing. They've already had some feedback, and they know that they're going to have retail sales. They're going to have it so that we can go to a store and purchase our medicine or I love this. That's why that's the story I start with, and that is the story that I'm going to cheers to. If you've seen my rosin video, I made two groups of rosin. One was CBD Shark and one was Bubba Kush. To the left is the Bubba Kush. Well, that's the CBD Shark. That's the Bubba Kush. 1 gram of each was squished. I didn't weigh the outcome, but Bubba Kush wins by a landslide all the time. Peace and cheers. Love and harmony. Cheers, Edmonton, and the rest of Alberta. We're doing it right, and I like that. I like that. We, so far, are doing it right. Let's go on to the next story. The next story, and a few that follow, is all about legalization and positives. Yay. Mexico has legalized medical cannabis. Peña Nieto was once a vehement opponent of cannabis legalization, but has since called for a re-examination of global drug policy after a nationwide public debate on legalization in early 2016. So far, the solutions to control drugs and crime implemented by the international community have been frankly insufficient. We must move beyond prohibition to effective prevention. I keep saying this to a lot of people who say, hey, what about this? Sessions said this. They've introduced a bill for this. I get it. I get it. There's a lot of opponents to legalization. However, the ball is rolling and the snowball has gained. There's no stopping this ball. It's going to roll right around the world and it's going to be legal. There is no way around it. Next story is same lines. Greece has become the 7th EU country to legalize medical marijuana. And I do hear that UK is starting to look at it. So that story, those two stories about Mexico and Greece are down below for you to check out. In fact, the Greece story comes from independent.co.uk. So this is getting very, very international. As I say, the ball's rolling. Next story. Global news brings us a story that just bites at me so much. I have talked about how the raids in Toronto, some of you may remember Project Claudia last year, the biggest raids in Ontario ever on dispensaries and the most charges laid. And since then, they have continued to do that, just at a smaller scale. And I've kept calling it out as a horrible waste of taxpayers' money, as a way to create crime, not prevent crime, and that it seems to be, there is no logic behind it unless you throw the LP money there, that they need to close down their competition so they can keep making money. That's just a thought. I have no proof of any of this, but this grinds my gears because this is proof of what I said way back then, way back when the Project Claudia happened. Of the 90 individuals who were facing more than 180 charges in Toronto's May 26, 2016 Project Claudia raids of 43 dispensaries, 45 of those cases have been withdrawn or stayed, and a further 27 have been settled through peace bonds, meaning the charges will not appear on the accused's criminal record. Half of the charges were dismissed out of court, were withdrawn or stayed by the court. And when it's stayed, it's not prosecutable. These things are ridiculous. And that is of something a year ago. What about all these charges they're laying now? They're raiding these places and they're putting criminal charges on these people and saying, hey, we're getting criminals off the street. No, you're not. You're endangering just private citizens. But also you're wasting taxpayer money because your charges are not prosecutable. I remember when Project Claudia happened and their own city the chief of police was asked, why are you doing this? These crimes are not enforceable in an era of legalization, upcoming legalization. This was before we had a firm date. This was when it was just loosey-goosey. And he said that before they did these raids, they talked with the prosecutor's office, and they ensured that all of these are prosecutable and everything else. And here they are. Over half they didn't even make it through the court. Over half. It's just a waste of time. I said it, told you so. So, Toronto, start calling your city councilman and start saying, stop wasting my tax money on this, or I'm not re-electing you. It's the only way to get at it. It's the only way. When even Ontario's very liberal Ontario Health, OHIP, comes out with a national statement, decriminalize, stop arresting people. They want that for the health and well-being of the people. Never mind your tax dollars. So put those two together, and what the bleep are the police doing? They aren't working for you, but you pay their bill. Whoever else thinks they are, don't. Next story, and I'm not going to have a toke to that one. Next story, I probably will have a toke to. Big Pharma is losing grip as a new study shows nearly 100% of cannabis users give up prescription drugs. This is beautiful. Already I brought you a study that involved Tilray, only 300 people. This study is huge. The results of the study concluded that 97% of the 3,000 respondents strongly agreed that they could decrease use of their opioid medications when using cannabis, while 92% said they strongly agreed that they prefer cannabis to treat their medical conditions. Of course, we are doing better. Am I healthy? You guys that follow my channel know I'm not healthy. But OMG, am I bad if I don't have my medicine? I couldn't even do this channel when I was on opioids. I couldn't. I wasn't clear-headed enough. I wasn't healthy enough. I wasn't awake enough. Now could I get back to work? I could if they'd let me work high. I really could. And if they'd let me have a nap partway through the day, I mean chronic fatigue. But if I could work high, and yes, I was a manager in a railway, if I could work high, I could do it. But they'll never admit to that. Anyways, let's move on. Another groundbreaking study. See, these studies are coming full force. We have countries that have it legalized now. There's been lots of studies being done. A new study found that in combination with traditional chemotherapy, cannabinoids, the active compound in cannabis, one of the active compounds, significantly improved the treatment of leukemia. A great story talks about the use of both THC and CBD in different forms of cancer, and I have been studying a fair amount of this. This is a good one. The next story is even better. Brought by a patient at MMJ who talked to me on live chat, whose wife is suffering breast cancer. He brought me these. So this story introduces you to the fact that they are learning not only it is effective, but now they're learning that if you do the chemotherapy first, then cannabinoids, CBD after, and THC all throughout, they're learning efficacy of the drug in different doses and different timings. This is beautiful. It brings more comfort to those who are suffering and higher chance of remission and complete riddance of cancer. We are getting closer and closer, and I've never said cannabis is the only way to get off chemotherapy. I'm not a doctor. I expect doctors to find that perfect balance, and it will get found. It will get found, especially once Canada legalizes fully. Then the studies can be whole hog. There should be millions, if not billions, sunk into study the hell out of this and find out what's right. And I'll volunteer. let's move on to our final story. One thing I don't have with this new system and new camera is a timer telling me how long I've been online. I don't know. So my Rosin Talks was a half-hour long. I usually don't do a half-hour video. This, I have no idea. Am I 10, 15, 20 minutes in? I don't know. But final story. This is a beautiful one because I think it really goes deep into how and why different parts of the plant work on different types of breast cancer. And learning that has taught me that that I need to dig even deeper and read a lot more of these studies, and we really need more of these studies. Researchers find cannabis oil fights breast cancer. Worldwide, breast cancer compromises 10.4% of all cancer incidents. In 2004, breast cancer caused 500,000 deaths worldwide, 7% of cancer deaths, 1% of all deaths were breast cancer, something that is beatable. Cannabidiolic acid, CBDA, that's the active cannabidiol, is an inhibitor of MDA-MB231 breast cancer cell migration, stops them from spreading. And CBD, cannabidiol, is a major non-psychotropic constituent of cannabis that has been reported to possess anti-proliferative effects, stops the growth, and inhibits ability to multiply on cancer cells. But this goes even deeper. I encourage you to read it or share it with those who need to read it as to how different forms of cancer, you need different ratios between your THC and your CBD, and it recognizes that both need to be there. It's just AAA negative, I believe it's AAA negative breast cancer needs very high CBD, low THC except for when pain is present. There are other forms, and I don't have them all memorized yet, and I'm not going to say them just in case I say it wrong or take it out of context, that need higher THC, but still need that CBD. CBD is a great anti-inflammatory in many other cases. Not to mention the fact that high CBD is important through anything that is that taxing on your mind. And we are at the end. I don't know how long it went, but I hope it was good. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll press the subscribe button below and encourage others to do so. Let's talk in the comments. I try my best to look at comments 3-4 times a day and respond. So peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony. Look for people without smiles and share yours. You have extra.